Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to United vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and this is the Manchester United fan channel that is all your opinion, all the time. First and foremost, I'm here to get your thoughts, your perspective, your views and opinions on everything and anything related to Manchester United, and that is why the community has grown to the size it is today. We did reach 1,000 subscribers this week, so thank you guys for that. We're going to jump into today's Manchester United news roundup. A little bit to go over today, bits and pieces regarding Jadon Sancho, Scott McTominay, Hannibal Mejbri. Good morning, Usman. Good morning, Danny. Welcome back, guys. Apologize if I seem a little sluggish today. We had crazy thunderstorms all night last night. Super, super loud, super bright lightning. So I did not really get a whole lot of sleep, but we are still here. We are still pushing through. So let's get stuck in. So been a big week, Ugarte coming, McTominay leaving, Sancho, is he going? We did get a here we go from Fabrizio Romano on Scott McTominay's move to Napoli. So it does look like that one is all but finalized, barring any last minute issues with a medical or anything like that. There is a deal in place for that. It's like £25.5 million package. Plus we do have a sell-on clause. I think it's like a 10% sell-on clause. So a little bit lower than we wanted to when what we were holding out for Fulham, but I think it was a question of dropping a couple million and missing out on Ugarte or just getting it done. And I'm glad that we made the decision. It's a little frustrating that we waited so long to make that decision, because I do think we could have gotten Ugarte in a couple weeks ago and he could have been already in the squad, already everything. So, but apparently Manchester United have authorized McTominay to travel for the medical and the contract signing. So that looks like it probably will be happening today or tomorrow at the latest. Danny's happy about that. Moving on to Jadon Sancho. I mean, hold on before we move. So McTominay's been here, well over 20 years. He's been a part of a lot of different managers' plans and everything. So there's got to be something there. It does sound like, McTominay was always ready and willing to do whatever was asked of him. Mourinho loved him. Ollie loved him. Tenhag, everybody played him. And so something there. But I think in terms of quality, it definitely left a little bit to be desired. So best of luck, McTominay. We don't want to disrespect him or anything like that. Let's all just read the room, show a bit of class. We're happy maybe we can improve on him, but let him do his thing. There's no hard feelings. It's not like he did anything to hurt our feelings, right? So on Jadon Sancho, regarding his possible move to Juventus. So the rumor is Juventus want him and we want him sold, not a loan. We want a permanent transfer. We want guaranteed money. His wages have been an issue apparently, but wages always are an issue when United want to sell players, right? That's just the way we run things. So Nick Temerero, he's a journalist who's got some insight in Italian football, and he's actually been pretty spot on this summer. He was spot on with the Joshua Zirkzee stuff early on. He says Juventus Sancho locked and loaded, £8.5 million loan with an option to buy at $25.3 million. Juventus will pay $4.2 million of his $7.5 million salary. So sounds like a deal is on the table, ready to go. United remains interested in Sterling reportedly, but only on loan without compensation or options with wages paid entirely by Chelsea. So there's like links. It sounds like maybe if we're going to get rid of Sancho, we're going to want to maybe replace him, but we'll see. We're getting a lot of reports that our business is over. Ugarte pretty much was our budget, and barring any last minute sales or any of these interesting swap options, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of other players, if any, come through the door, but we'll see. Gianluca Di Marzio did add this morning too, just before going live, that Juventus' first official offer for Sancho is coming sometime today. It sounds like it's going to be that loan with an obligation option. So I just don't want Sterling. I don't care what Troy Deeney wants to spout on Sky. He doesn't know what the F he's talking about. We don't want Sterling. Do you guys want Sterling? I don't want Sterling. This chair is uncomfortable. We have a little bit of an update on Victor Lindelof. This is coming from Di Marzio as well. He claims that Lazio are actually considering Lindelof as an option to strengthen their defense. I know he had surgery last week. honestly, Lindelof really should be pushing his agent to find him a move. I mean, before the window shuts, if I were Lindelof, I'd be pushing anywhere. Um, he's literally going to be sixth choice center back, even when he's fit. He's going to be behind Euro, DeLitt, Licha, Maguire, probably behind Evans as well, if we're all being honest. And I'm not trying to disrespect him. I'm not trying to say he's garbage or anything. He's just like Anthony, like Jadon Sancho. Even he's just not a good fit for the league. Just can't hang, and there's nothing wrong with that in the sense that they're bad players. It's just not every team, not every manager, not every league is a good fit for every player. That's just the facts. So maybe there's something behind that photo that his partner posted the other day in the elevator with all the suitcases and whatnot. Maybe there's a hint there. I don't know, but let me guys know what you think about Lindelof. You guys, let me know what you think about Sancho. Do you want Sancho to get out of here? Would you take Sterling? We're going to talk a little bit more about Sterling in a second, but just it sounds like maybe the only business we're going to be doing the rest of this window, which is closing in a few days, is maybe some outgoings, just to kind of trim the squad a little bit, clear up that wage a little bit, bring in a little bit of cash. And one of the ways that we have done that right now is Hannibal. Hannibal's move to Burnley is official. Is announced by both clubs. Is announced by Hannibal himself. He did put out a post, thanking United and all the fans. That is a £5.5 million sale with extra £4 million in add-ons. United do have a buyback clause, and we do have a 50% sell-on clause in that deal for Hannibal. So honestly, it's another good deal that this regime has made. These sell-on clauses, like, everybody's focused so much on the little bit of players, but the sell-on clauses are a big deal. If you sold Pellistri like right now for, let's say we didn't have a sell-on clause and we pushed a little bit more for Pellistri and got like $8 million for Pellistri, cool. It's still less than what we paid for him, but that's all we're getting for Pellistri. We sold him for what, $6 million. He's going to go to Greece. We have a sell-on clause. Even if he plays well and goes for like 15 million, that's another $7.5 million that we're going to be getting out of him. So I'm not too worried about these sell-on clauses. These sell-on clauses are good business, and it sounds so weird to say that but it's such a basic thing to add, and it's something that we haven't really done for a very long time. And so I'm happy to see it. The same with Hannibal, same with Kambwala, same with all these players. And let them go play football. Let them improve. If they improve, we either have that buyback clause, or they're going to be sold for higher than what we sold them for, and we're still going to make money on them. Like, that's good business. And so we'll see how it goes. Let me know what you guys think about Hannibal. We all remember him coming out against Liverpool and just getting stuck in left and right, causing problems, frustrating people. I'm here for that, but that was about all I've ever really seen from Hannibal, is just getting stuck in. And like McTominay and even like Mount, sometimes I need to see more. I need to see something else from you. Mustafa, good morning, my guy. He says, good morning, sir. I'm happy with Man United transfer market. Ugarte complete. I'm happy. Yeah, we're all excited. 11 of you guys watching, only one like. Go ahead and hit that like button for me if you haven't yet. Please subscribe to the channel. If you are new, go check me out on Twitter as well, as we keep going here with some of the news. Danny says, good business. Time to move him on. His attitude stinks too. Yeah, I read that he had some issues, some behavioral issues at Sevilla when he was on loan. Was it their coach, their manager, or their president who came out with some comments about his issues? I can't remember. Obviously, he went on loan there last year. But I think sometimes with these young players, when they're frustrated that they're not really settling in, when they're not really solidifying a space in the squad, like, that frustration can come out in the way they play and the way they talk to people and stuff. I see it all the time. Like I said, you guys know I'm a therapist. Like, I talk to people all the time. This is how emotions work. This is how people work. We're not perfect. We mess up. We do it all the time. It happens. There's always a better way we can be doing something. So it wouldn't surprise me, being a young player, what was he, 19, 20 at the time, for him to do that. That's just normal. I would be more surprised if he hadn't have let that frustration out and had some issues personally. Danny says he started a fight with Tellez, did he? Well, it is what it is, right? Is that a training ground bust up, or is that a fight? Because training ground bust ups happen all the time. I don't really tend to get worried about training ground bust ups, if I'm honest. But I think that maybe he just it sounds like he's a little frustrated. Obviously, we brought him from Monaco. It was a relatively high fee at the time for a teenager. What was it, like 9, 10, something? I don't remember what it was off the top of my head now. Um, and so maybe there was a little excitement there, but it is what it was. Just like Scott, just like Palestri, we wish him the best of luck and hope he does well. If anything, it only helps us again with that sell-on clause. So best of luck, Hannibal. Best of luck, McTominay. Best of luck, Palestri. So one player it doesn't look like we might be getting back anytime soon is Sofian Amrabat. You know, remember, of course, we had him on loan last season with that option to buy for like 20-ish million. We let that loan lapse without picking up the option. And then there were talks that he could return for less than that 20 million, but that didn't really materialize. Fabrizio Romano yesterday is reporting that negotiations are underway between Fenerbahce and Fiorentina for Sofian Amrabat. Talks continue as Amrabat also received an approach from Everton yesterday as well. So sounds like either way, Amrabat is on his way out of Fiorentina. We'll see what that looks like. Lots of you had mentioned in the past that if we needed another midfielder, let's say Eriksen left or something, then, you know, you would go back for Amrabat for like that 10, 11 million that maybe we could get him for. Let me know your thoughts. Would you still take Amrabat now that Scott McTominay is gone? We know tenhag wants 2 players of quality in each position. Amrabat, Casemiro, Bruno Mount, Manu, and Eriksen. Is that the 2 there? We know Eriksen could have left. I saw some quotes from Anderlecht's president today because he was linked with Anderlecht a few weeks ago. And to his credit, the guy said, you know, I've never mentioned Eriksen's name, but he looks at Eriksen and what he specifically said was, you know, his wages make a deal like that a problem. Because Eriksen is on probably quite a bit of money. I don't know off the top of my head. If you guys know, let me know how much Eriksen's on. But Eriksen, I think, is not going to be a big part of the squad. He might come in these cup games. He might come in some of these kind of dead rubbers in the later stages of the Europa League if we're already qualified for the next round and whatnot. He might come in as a sub here and there when maybe we just need to control the ball a little bit. I don't know. But again, we've talked about Eriksen. He's a liability defensively. A lot of you would have maybe wanted him sold and then seen Amrabat come back and kind of lock in the midfield, give us a good squad depth option. You let me know your thoughts, but it does look like Amrabat is on his way out the door. We haven't really been linked to him recently. He could be joining Jose Mourinho at Fenerbahce, but apparently Everton might want him as well. So we'll see what that looks like towards the end of the window. In any case, though, Alex Crook does report that our spending might be done for the summer. He reports that Ugarte has tapped out our budget, like I said earlier. Ugarte does look like he's going to be announced maybe today, maybe tomorrow. He was spotted at Carrington late last night, early this morning. I was reminded yesterday, though, so we're all excited about Ugarte. I love Ugarte, but I was reminded yesterday, though, that we need to remember that Ugarte he's not the finished article. Good morning, Nick. How are you, my friend? My boy Nee, who was in the chat yesterday, he's comes to the Detroit Red Devils meetups at Loaded Dice sometimes. Really good tactician, wants to be a coach. Really good football IQ on Nee. But he sent me some links yesterday. A link to a video yesterday of Ugarte analysis, and we were talking a little bit through text. But Ugarte is still raw. He's not the finished article. You remember, he's still only 23. He just turned 23 in mid-April. Some of his decision making still needs some polishing and things like that, especially in deeper areas of the pitch. It's going to be interesting. And I'm not trying to temper, make excuses now. I'm just saying it's a good reminder, he's still young. He still needs some time. So if everyone's going to give Arsenal excuses for the last 3 or 4 years that trust the process, it's a young squad, we need to remember that Ugarte is only 23 right now. Give him some time to acclimate to the league, acclimate to his teammates, acclimate to the system, and polish some of those aspects of his game that maybe, because remember, it's hard. You go from Sporting, obviously, Portuguese league is very different than other leagues. Ruben Amorim plays a different system than a lot of these other managers do. So he went from that 3-4-3 kind of system, that 3-4-1-2, whatever you want to call it, with Amorim, to kind of a 4-3-3 at PSG, where sometimes when he did play, he was almost like that lone deep six And he was still only, what, 21, 22 at the time, and still only had, like, before that, like a season, maybe a season and a half of first team football under his belt. He's still a very young player in terms of his professional career. So be a little patient. As Danny says, his scanning is a little poor. He's going to learn that stuff. So be patient. He's still raw. He's still not polished. Big up Knee for giving me the reminder and chatting with me a little bit about it, because it was a good reminder. As much as I love Ugarte, and I see the potential there, and I see the talent that's already there, he still has aspects to his game that he's going to need to develop. And so we're going to see how that goes. I think he's in a good setup now to learn some of those things, as we've seen Tenhag use Manu and things like that. And we've seen players like Dallo really develop under Tenhag as well. Yeah, Danny says his scanning decision-making can be poor, but he's still developing. Exactly. And Danny, it's true. He was lost in a single pivot. Yeah, you can't. It's very difficult for that young player with very little professional football under his belt to go from that very kind of compact system at Sporting to the PSG side, where he was pretty much left on his own a lot. And when he was that type of pivot, because Luis Enrique, his eights were very, very attack minded, getting forward a lot. And so it can be difficult. Those I saw, like, in the video that Nee sent me, there was a clip where, I forget who they were playing PSG, but there's an opposition player who was maybe holding onto the ball, and Ugarte kind of left his marker to go try to maybe intercept, and he just kind of, the whole play fell apart because the player was able to pass to the guy Ugarte was meant to be marking, and it was a whole thing. It is what it is. There are some clips in the video of Uruguayan, like, international football, which I thought was a little bit of a lazy analysis, because international football is very different, which is, you saw that when people were going on about Amrabat playing for Morocco. Like, that's not the way Amrabat typically plays. So it's very, very different in international football. Nick says he needs to learn quick, especially playing in Prem. He will. We're probably going to see Ten Hag maybe introduce him slowly. I think Casemiro is probably going to be holding down that spot for the foreseeable future until Ugarte kind of beds in. I'd be surprised to even see Ugarte in the matchday squad on Sunday, but we'll see. I think again, I'm going to get frustrated if I keep talking about the fact that we kind of haggled for a little bit and we could have just gotten this done a couple weeks earlier. But it is what it is at this point. He's coming. He's here. He's at Carrington. Probably get an announcement today or tomorrow. If that announcement does come today, of course, I will be back later on to talk more about that. Danny B says his long progressive passing is better than what people think. I think that he'll surprise some people with some aspects of his game, and then he's going to frustrate some people with some aspects of his game. But we got to remember, he's still just 23, and he just turned 23 not that long ago. He's still young, only a couple of years of first team football under his belt, really, but he's still a good player. Danny B, Ugarte looking like a young version of Paulinho. Yeah, and exactly. That's who he came in. He was kind of next in line under Paulinho. So he and Paulinho kind of rotated, and then Paulinho left, and then Ugarte kind of stepped in and took over his spot. And then PSG scooped him up after Liverpool wanted him, and everybody else wanted him. And then that's when they signed, Sporting signed Morten Holman from Lecce to replace him, and now everybody wants Morten Holman. So Sporting's talent ID is pretty good, whoever's in charge of their recruitment. Same with Brighton. So this is the difference that good recruitment can make in terms of building for the future and things like that. So uncovering these hidden gems, it's really not that difficult to do. I'm not saying every player is going to be a guaranteed success, but it's not hard to find, players who aren't just Galactico signings, who aren't just the shirt sellers that people want to throw out there. It's not hard to find. It's not hard to find 3, maybe even 4 players for the same price as one big Enzo Fernandez, price tag kind of thing. So just, it's not that difficult. But we'll give Ugarte time. Hopefully we can see him in the matchday squad. I'm just not going to hold my breath for that one, but we'll see. Anything. Again, perhaps barring any last minute sales or any very cheap options that come up in the market, I think we're probably going to be shifting our focus to maybe January. We're looking at left backs, remember, maybe for the future, not right now, and then probably even next summer as well. So I think that we'll be keeping a very, very, very close eye on Shaw and Malacia's fitness, and hopefully Dallo and Mizraoui don't pick up any injuries, because otherwise we're screwed. Wouldn't it just be so United for one of those guys that pick up an injury the day after the transfer window closes? Oh boy. I don't know why I just put that juju out there. I don't know why I did that. I'll take it back. I take it back. I'm sorry. So I do think that's probably it, unless again any cheap options or anybody else we sell, maybe Ericsson, maybe Lindelof, maybe we can get something cheap, but we'll see. I think we should have prioritized the left back, but it is what it is. I think unless Sancho goes to like Chelsea and we get a player in return, I think that's probably it. I mean, I know there's reports that might be the only way that deal goes down, that Chelsea gets Sancho if we get a player of theirs. I know Chilwell's name was mentioned. Sterling's name was mentioned. Would you take any of Chelsea's players? Realistically, even in this case, like I'm not saying like, yeah, Cole Palmer. I'm saying realistically, who would even be an option to take from Chelsea right now? Chukwuemeka, maybe. Casade, maybe, is like midfield depth, but we've got Collier and stuff. I don't know if I would even take anybody. Just anybody but Sterling. I don't want Sterling is not an improvement on Sancho, in my opinion. He really isn't. He's 29, big wages. He's got a lot of years left on his contract. He's not even that good. I've never rated Sterling. I mean, that's if Ineos weren't here, it'd almost be a given that we'd be signing Sterling and doing that swap, because that's such a Glazer kind of Ed Woodward signing, in my opinion. But I'm just, please, anybody but Sterling, just honestly. Danny says we need to go get Reguilon. He's not great, but better than nothing. MS is not ready. I don't think MS is ready. I know a lot of people were talking about Reguilon for the last few weeks. I'm not even sure if I've seen any news. I thought he was rumored I want to say it was like Barcelona, maybe. I don't remember. Like a couple week or two ago. What's going on with Reguilon right now? Is he still a Spurs player technically? Somebody remind me in the chat. Because when it comes to players that aren't United players, I don't tend to make a whole lot of room in the hard drive for that knowledge until they pop up, or until I see them making some big moves or something. But or if they're a young player that I've been watching for a little while that I'm keeping an eye on. So Nick says, your name is long. U for Ugarte, maybe. It's Usman, my guy. Danny B says Chalba or Chuck. Yeah, Chuck will make him maybe. Chalba, I think maybe. If Lindelof and Maguire were maybe going to go, then I'd be like, yeah, I'll go get Chalba for depth. But I think now that we got De Ligt and Euro, and doesn't look like Maguire is going anywhere. Evans has got that new deal. I don't know if Chalba makes sense anymore. I think I'd take him over Maguire. I'd play him over, but it is what it is now. I think that that ship has sailed. But that is what it is. Danny, I did think about you the other day. I was watching some highlights from some South American football and wanted to get your opinion on a kid named Juan Jimenez. Let me know if you've ever watched him play, since I know you're a big South American guy. And then Agustin Roberto. Did you mention him the other day? Let me know your thoughts, man. I know you're the South American scout out there. We were talking the other day about starting a club, man. We're going to get Danny B out here scouting. We're going to get Nee out here coaching. We're going to get Dylan out here on the youth academy. Who wants to get involved? Let me know. And to close things out, just another reminder of media bias and subjectivity and just United hate. Did you see ESPN's headlines on their website? Somebody posted it. I reposted it yesterday on Twitter regarding some of these transfers. I told you, and we've all known, it's academic at this point. ESPN FC, they just hate United. They've got guys like Stevie Nicol, Craig Burley out there. Even Shaka Hislop is kind of being a butthead lately about United. But I told you about their agenda and the way the media reports United versus, and Stephen Housen, Stephen Housen has these special videos now, if you guys watch them, where it's just Housen versus, and it's literally just him going off on TalkSport, on ESPN, and all these guys. And I'm here for it because, you and I have all been talking about this for months now. But one of the things you got to look out for when people were reporting on United is, especially during the transfer window, is the currency. And I've mentioned this many, many times. The currency used when we're talking about what United spend versus what other clubs are spending. More often than not, they'll use the biggest possible number. So they'll pick the currency that has the biggest amount. They'll often, when they're talking about United, it's never, oh, United are paying, 38 plus 38 point whatever for De Ligt. They'll talk about it's a 50 million package. They'll put the total possible number on there and they'll call that the fee, right? And then the currency, right? It's embarrassing. So they outdid themselves yet again, though, with their headlines. So so one of their headlines, they had a list of all the different links you could click on. And one of them was Arsenal signed Mikel Merino for 37.5 million euros. A few lines down, though, and another headline is United and PSG agree to a $66 million Ugarte fee. So dollars, which makes it sound the highest number you can possibly have. And they've added all the add-ons in there, but it's only 37.5 million euros for Mikel Merino. So they didn't even use pounds or euros. They just went straight for dollars because it makes it the highest. It's embarrassing how just transparent they are with their hate and their bias. And I think what's most embarrassing now, in my opinion, is the fact that this is what passes for journalism. Like, this is journalism. Like, this is why, like, nobody takes them seriously. This is why, like, people with blue ticks on Twitter now have more credibility than these ex-players and these ex-managers and these pundits and people with, like Samuel Butthurst, who have actual, like, journalistic background and education and training and whatnot. It's embarrassing. So it's low-hanging fruit. Everyone likes to try to beat up United because it's just hated, adored, right? Danny B says, yeah, Jimenez is a good passer, good CV, good, similar to De Ligt, all around solid. Yeah, I was watching some of that. Danny B says, Augustin Roberto, did you say he was a top scorer, 17 World Cup? Yeah, I added him to my Foot Mob one to watch. Yeah, a lot of, like, I've said it before on the channel. I've said it on some scouting reports in the past that the South American market is blowing up right now. And it's going to be, we've already seen it in a lot of ways. Anselmino, Alvarez, all these guys coming out of, Bocas and whatnot, Barco. South American market is blowing up. And I think that now is the time to really if I'm United, if I'm any club looking to build for the future and maybe uncover some hidden gems, I'm sending extra scouts to go watch some of these South American leagues. And I am, like, running over all these players with a fine-tooth comb, and I am bringing in half a dozen of them to the academy. I think that there are so many good young players out there in South America right now. Danny will attest to that. There's a ton. Danny comes on every day, and he's mentioning a couple more. And I'm here for it because that's part of building a foundation. That's part of ensuring the future of your club in many ways, whether that's financially or just squad depth or whatever you want to call it. Like, I think that should be a priority right now. When, if you ever watched the Class of 92 movie, came out, 10, 12 years ago, when Fergie was appointed, we only had a couple scouts in Manchester, and he came in and put, like, dozens of new scouts out there because that's what we need to do. They don't just need to be English. They don't need to be European even. Just go out and find some of these hidden gems and let them go. Danny B says, check out Ian Subiabre. He was another at the 17 World Cup. Did you watch the Youth World Cup? I don't tend to watch, like, the youth competitions a whole lot. I do watch some of United's youth team, but MUTV doesn't play their matches, I've found, even though they advertise doing that. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to be able to watch a whole lot of those anymore, but that is going to do it for me. If you haven't yet hit the like button, go ahead and do so. I'm going to check and see if there's any other news popping up before I dip out for the day. Danny says, we are scouting Ian Subiabre a few months back. Okay. All right. I like that. Miguel Delaney says we are also still maybe in talks for Ben Chilwell. Please, God, no to Ben Chilwell. I don't want that at all. It doesn't make any sense. We've already talked about that. I just don't think that Ben Chilwell is the answer to any question at all. But we'll see. It doesn't sound like maybe we're prioritizing the left back. I really hope that we somehow scrape through to at least January with some left backs. I hope that Shaw should be back by the time the first international break is over with. Still don't have any idea what's going on with Malacia, but anyone's guess. So that is it for me. Ugarte at Carrington today. McTominay, here we go to Napoli from Fabrizio Romano. Hannibal officially out the door, and Juventus could be making their first official loan offer for Jadon Sancho any moment. Let me know your thoughts. If you didn't catch the live get your thoughts in on the comments. I will respond to them all. We'll be back maybe tomorrow, depending on when Ten Hag does his pre-match press conference ahead of Liverpool for the that match preview. Obviously, we're also going to be here after that match, but don't forget to stop by Saturday after the games are done and dusted on Saturday. We'll be here. My buddy Justin's going to be here. We are going to be doing our transfer window rating. We're going to be talking about the players we've signed, the way Ineos have approached the window, the recruitment structure, all that. We're going to be talking about our expectations for the season, for Ten Hag, for the squad. What are your musts? What are your make or breaks for Ten Hag? Where do you expect United to finish? What do you think top four is going to look like? What do you need to see from United and some of our players next season? We're going to be talking about all that on Saturday and probably a little bit of the Liverpool match we're going to be previewing as well. So don't forget to come back for that. Danny says Reguilon's still at Spurs. Yeah, I just completely forgot about Reguilon. So we'll see what happens. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. Usman, Danny, Nick, and Mustafa. Thank you, guys. If anything big news pops up today, I will be back, of course, to get your thoughts on that. Until then, enjoy the rest of your morning, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.